When HOA Karen told me my wheelchair ramp was an eyesore and had to be removed immediately, I thought she was just being deliberately cruel. I didn't realize she was about to drag the entire HOA into a federal lawsuit that would end up costing them $500,000. I never imagined I'd need a wheelchair ramp. Life is a habit of rewriting your plans without asking permission first. A serious car accident left me with limited mobility in my right leg, and after months of painful rehab, my doctor didn't sugarcoat it. If I wanted any independence at all, I needed a proper ramp. Not later, not eventually, but now. So I did everything by the book. I hired licensed contractors, pulled the required permits, and followed ADA-compliant slope and safety standards down to the inch. The ramp was solid, clean, and designed to blend into the house as much as possible. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't oversized. It wasn't optional. It was necessary. Karen noticed it the very day construction wrapped up. She marched up my driveway with her clipboard and that familiar tight smile she wore when she thought she had the upper hand. "You didn't get HOA approval for the structure," she said, tapping the ramp with her shoe like it personally offended her. I told her I had permits and medical documentation, and even offered to email everything on the spot. She waved it off. "This changes the appearance of the community. You'll need to remove it." I stared at her, convinced I must have misheard. "Remove it? I can't access my house without it." She sighed dramatically. "Then perhaps this isn't the right community for you." That was the moment I realized this had nothing to do with rules. It was about control. 2 days later, a formal violation notice arrived. Remove the ramp within 14 days or face daily fines. There was no mention of disability accommodation, no acknowledgement of federal law, just a demand. I formally requested a reasonable accommodation under the Fair Housing Act and the ADA. I included letters from my doctor, copies of permits, and contractor specifications. Karen rejected it in under an hour. "Denied," she wrote. "Ramp not aesthetically acceptable." That email went straight to my lawyer. His response was calm, precise, and devastating. He informed the HOA that denying a medically necessary accessibility modification was a federal violation and demanded they cease enforcement immediately. Karen replied anyway. "The HOA is not subject to federal threats. We decide what's reasonable." That single sentence would later cost them everything. The fines began stacking up, $1.50 a day, then $100. Karen personally taped violation notices to my door, sometimes while I was inside, watching the window as she smiled and pressed the paper flat. Neighbors started asking questions. Karen told them I was being difficult, refusing to comply, and making unreasonable demands. Then the Department of Housing and Urban Development stepped in. HUD opened a formal investigation after my attorney filed a complaint. They requested records, emails, and meeting minutes. Karen panicked. She tried to retroactively justify her actions, claiming the ramp was a safety hazard and structurally unsound. Inspectors disagreed. They measured slopes, reviewed permits, interviewed contractors, and confirmed everything was fully compliant, meticulously so. Then they asked why other homeowners had been allowed permanent exterior modifications without issue: stone patios, pergolas, decorative walls, even a koi pond. Karen had no answer. During mediation, she doubled down. "This ramp lowers property values," she insisted. "People don't want to see that." The mediator stopped her mid-sentence. "You mean disability access?" he asked. Karen crossed her arms. "I'm just enforcing the rules." The lawsuit followed quickly. Federal court. ADA violations. Fair Housing Act discrimination. Retaliation through fines. Emotional distress. Loss of use. The damages added up fast. The HOA's insurance company refused coverage outright. Intentional discrimination wasn't protected. That's when the board finally turned on Karen. Emails surfaced showing she had mocked my injury in private, complained that accommodating me would open the floodgates, and bragged that fines would pressure me to move. The judge didn't hide his disgust. "This was not ignorance," he said. "This was willful discrimination." The settlement came quietly. $500,000. Damages, legal fees, mandatory policy changes, and required ADA training for every board member. Karen was removed as HOA president the same day the agreement was signed. When I saw her packing up her HOA files, she wouldn't make eye contact. No clipboard, no authority, just consequences. The ramp stayed. More than that, 3 other residents came forward afterward, requesting accessibility accommodations they'd been afraid to ask for before. Every one of them was approved immediately. Sometimes I sit at the top of the ramp in the evening, watching the sun dip behind the houses. It's not just a way into my home anymore. It's a reminder. Karen thought accessibility was optional. She thought dignity was negotiable. She thought power meant saying no. Instead, she learned that some laws exist precisely because people like her made them necessary.